Welcome to part 3 of our guide to interpreting CEESAT reliability criteria for use in CEEDER, the CEE database of evidence reviews. My name is Andrew Pullin and I am presenting this series of short videos. In this one, I'll be covering the interpretation of criterion 3, searching for eligible studies. An optimal search for literature should possess 3 key properties. It should be comprehensive, to maximize the number of potentially relevant studies found, systematic, to avoid ad hoc search strategies that increase susceptibility to bias, and transparent, so that readers can replicate and evaluate the search. There are 2 parts to this assessment concerning search strategy and search comprehensiveness. Criterion 3.1 asks, is the search strategy clearly defined, systematic and transparent? So why does this matter? In many ways, the search is the most important stage that determines the capture of evidence. All search terms and search strings should be clearly stated for each source, such as databases, search engines and organizational websites, so that the exact search is replicable by a third party. Otherwise, there is a risk of a number of different types of bias undermining the reliability of findings. For example, reviewer bias occurs when the selection of studies is not a representative sample of all existing studies relevant to the review question. So-called latest is best bias occurs when a search is confined to a recent time period so that older studies will be excluded without justification. And language bias occurs when studies with certain results or topics are more likely to be published in languages that may be excluded from the review. So for this criterion, a gold rating indicates that all search terms and search strings are clearly stated for each source, such as databases, search engines and specialist websites, and there is information about the sources searched together with the dates of the search so that the method is repeatable and results replicable by a third party. And any limitations such as language, publication date or grey literature searches are justified. A green rating indicates that the main elements of the search are transparent and repeatable, as in the gold rating. But there are minor elements that are less so, and some limitations may not be fully justified. An amber rating indicates that the search is described, but not adequately to be repeatable by a third party, either because the specific search terms or strings are not fully provided, or dates of the search are not given, or limitations not justified. A red rating indicates a high risk of bias because no information regarding the search strategy is reported. Criterion 3.2 asks if the search is comprehensive. Lack of a comprehensive search may mean that some relevant articles are not captured, and this increases risk of bias. If only a few easily accessed sources are used, then the review is at greater risk of a number of biases. For example, literature search bias occurs when sources of literature used, such as online databases, do not capture a representative sample of all existing studies relevant to the review question. Publication bias occurs when the likelihood of a study being in a popular database is influenced by the results of the study. And availability bias occurs when the results of studies that are readily available differ systematically from the results obtained by aggregating all available studies. Consequently, a gold rating is given when sources of articles searched capture both conventionally published scientific literature and grey literature using a combination of databases, search engines, and specialist websites. And the comprehensiveness of the search is tested using samples of relevant articles obtained from an independent source. A green rating is given if the search has the same first element as the gold, but comprehensiveness is not adequately tested. An amber rating is given if sources used are stated but limited, without justification, to conventionally published scientific literature or just 1 or 2 sources. A red rating is given if sources used are not stated or the search is not systematic and therefore studies may have been selected. Thanks for listening to this presentation. I hope it was helpful in gaining an understanding of the importance of a comprehensive and transparent search strategy for increasing reliability of review findings to inform your decision making. If you have any questions or feedback, please use this email or visit the CEEDER website.